Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear is going to leave your jaw on the floor. After months of chaos, confusion, and outright lies from Washington, D.C. and the mainstream media, we now have confirmation. Social Security officially broken the $2,000 monthly barrier for the first time in American history. But before you celebrate, you need to see what else is happening here, okay? Because just as millions of our seniors are finally catching a break, finally catching a breath, guess what? Putin launched a surprise wave of deadly rocket attacks on Ukrainian cities. And what was Joe Biden doing while civilians were getting bombed? Well, nothing, absolutely nothing. And folks, President Trump is livid. He's not just calling Putin out, he's calling Biden out too. And when you hear what he said and how he connects this to the $4,000 senior tax promise, the tariffs, and America First, you're going to understand exactly why the media is scrambling to bury this footage, guys. So we're going to go ahead and roll tape on President Trump's full reaction, his response to Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, his breakdown of what's really going on with the $2,000 Social Security milestone. And of course, let's not forget about the brutal truth about Biden's weakness, guys. And it gets even crazier. Trump hints something is seriously wrong with Putin, like he snapped. And wait until you hear what he said about Harvard, foreign intelligence, and the elites funneling money into their institutions while everyday Americans are suffering. And this isn't just a policy debate. This is a total collapse of trust in the system. So buckle up, guys, because we're about to expose it. I want to share all of this with you guys before they shut this down. Stick with me because over the next few minutes, I want to share with you guys. I want you to see exactly what President Trump says next. Let's jump in. Oh, and if you appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video before this gets taken down. Now, folks, let me hit you with something the legacy media refuses to explain clearly. While everybody is distracted by Ukraine, campus protests, and whatever Hollywood freak shows trending today, something massive just happened inside the U.S. economy that affects you, your parents, your neighbors. Social Security just crossed the $2,000 barrier. That's right, guys. The average monthly benefit check for retired workers just hit $1,997.97 in April, and experts say it will officially surpass $2,000 next month. This is marking the first time in American history that the average monthly Social Security check has reached this milestone. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a win, right? But don't be fooled. This isn't because Washington finally got its act together or decided to take care of senior citizens. No, this historic $2,000 mark isn't because, it's coming from some grand master plan. It's the result of millions of Americans panicking. Let me break this down for you guys. More and more seniors, people in their early 60s, they're rushing to file their benefits early. Why? Because they don't believe Social Security is even going to be here in the next 10 years. That's right, guys. They're looking at the debt. They're watching the dysfunction in Washington, D.C., and they're saying to themselves, why wait until I'm 67 or 70 years old? I might be dead by then. What if the whole thing collapses? This wave of early filers is artificially inflating the average payout. You see, guys, when higher income workers retire early, they get slightly smaller individual benefits. But because so many are now jumping in at one time, it's actually pushing the national average up. So while the $2,000 headline sounds impressive, the truth is it's being driven by fear, uncertainty, and the lack of trust in Washington, D.C. Is your Social Security check $2,000 a month? Ask yourself that. And here's the kicker. Washington knows this is happening. They're watching the panic play out in real time. And instead of addressing the root cause, they're patting themselves on the back and they're gaslighting Americans like this milestone was some part of a brilliant economic recovery plan. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel like this government has a real plan for seniors? Better yet, do you trust that Schumer and Biden at the time or whoever else was behind the curtain has a serious solution to protect your retirement? Yeah, neither do I. But that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, because we're not stopping at just the surface headline, because we need to really unpack what President Trump actually promised when it came to Social Security. Well, I want to talk to you guys about the tax elimination, the plan for relief, and what happened when he pushed his one big, beautiful bill. And we also need to expose why that $4,000 tax deduction for seniors, even though it helps, still kind of feels like a broken promise for many who believe that tax-free Social Security was on the table. Does anybody feel shortchanged or cheated by that? This is where it gets political. I will admit, this is where it gets personal. Okay. So don't go anywhere, guys. You're definitely going to want to hear the real story behind this backroom deal, the Senate obstruction, and why millions of Americans feel sold out by both parties. So, and of course, we're going to dive into President Trump's original promise versus what actually made it into the bill, and who quietly killed the full elimination for Social Security benefits, guys. Now, helping your parents figure out Medicare, here's a shortcut, guys. Just call Chapter. They have helped Leslie Taylor save $1,000 a year. They helped Sharon Bertusik after she lost her Medicaid. They helped her get on Medicare plan with no premium, no medication cost, and her copay dropped from $89 to $20. Chapter looks at every plan. They break it all down, and they're helping people just like you, and they're helping people help their parents make the best choice for Medicare. Give them a call right now. Their number is 909-563-8279, or better yet, visit them on the web at askchapter.org/Ron. Guys, one phone call could make all the difference. Oh, and did I tell you it's completely free? Yeah. Call our friends at Chapter. All right, guys. So here's what they really don't want you to know. Because while the media brags that Social Security hits $2,000 and every DC politician lines up to claim credit for this, you really need to ask, who actually pushed to help seniors first? And the answer, folks, is President Donald J. Trump. During his campaign, and again in early 2025, President Trump made a very clear, very bold promise. Seniors should not pay taxes on Social Security. And under me, they won't. That was his stance. Straightforward, no confusion. Trump wanted to eliminate federal taxes on Social Security benefits completely. Gone. Delete, right? Because let's be real, you worked your whole life, you paid into the system, and now the government wants to tax you again for the money you already earned. Isn't that double taxation? If it ain't double taxation, it's robbery, it's disgusting, and Trump said enough. But here's where things got a little messy. When Trump's one big beautiful bill passed the House, the full tax elimination wasn't in it, and millions of Americans, especially seniors, were left wondering, wait, what the heck happened? What's this $4,000 deduction? So instead, the bill included what they're now calling an enhanced deduction, a $4,000 tax deduction for anyone 65 or older. Available for both standard and itemized filers. Helps around 56 million seniors nationwide. And listen, guys, it's better than nothing, right? For lower income seniors who still file taxes, this will put real money back in their pockets. But let's be honest, guys, this was not the no tax promised that, people rallied behind, right? So what happened? Why wasn't the full tax cut in there? One word, the Byrd Rule. That's a procedural rule in the Senate that blocks changes to Social Security from being made through the reconciliation process. The same fast track method that's used to pass budget bills. So if they tried to include the tax elimination, the Senate parliamentarian would have just killed it, and it wouldn't have even made it to a vote. So instead, what they did was the House inserted the $4,000 deduction just to get something for seniors in the bill. Does that make sense? Was this a smart move? A strategic compromise? Maybe. Maybe, but if you ask millions of voters who heard Trump promise no taxes on Social Security, a deduction doesn't exactly feel like a win. And where was Joe Biden during all this? Where was Chuck Schumer? Where were the Democrats who love to talk about protecting seniors when it's election season, right? They were fighting to, they were not fighting to eliminate taxes. They were not expanding benefits. They were completely missing in action. And that, folks, where was Bernie Sanders? Whatever happened to that guy? He's always pro seniors. And that, folks, is why so many Americans, especially seniors, feel shortchanged. We finally hit the $2,000 mark, but the fear that Social Security won't survive still looms. And the promise of no taxes still stuck in red tape and Senate games. But it doesn't stop there, because while Biden and his buddies and his friends, they fumbled the ball here at home, Trump turned his attention to the global stage and absolutely unloaded on Vladimir Putin. And what he said about Russia, the attacks on Ukrainian civilians, and the man he once called a friend was nothing short of shocking. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to shift gears just a little bit, because while seniors are still trying to make some sense of what's happening with Social Security right here at home, the world just got a whole lot more dangerous overseas. And President Trump made it crystal clear he has had enough. During a recent press appearance in Morristown, when asked about Vladimir Putin's latest rocket attacks on Ukrainian cities, Trump didn't sugarcoat a single word. He didn't dance around the issue. He didn't lollygag and pussyfoot around. He didn't pull punches. Trump said, and I quote, "I don't know what happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, but he's killing a lot of people and I don't like it at all." End quote. That's what Trump said, guys. And folks, he meant it. You could see it in his face. This wasn't a staged political statement. It was raw frustration, because while American negotiators were trying to cool tensions and work towards stability, Putin was launching rockets into civilian zones, innocent people taken out while world leaders stood around talking. Let's not forget, Trump has known Putin for years. He's negotiated with him. He's sat across the table from him, dealt with him face to face. And for Trump to say he no longer recognizes the man, that's something. He said that something happened to Putin. That's a serious statement coming from someone who knows what diplomacy looks like. He said, "We're in the middle of talking," Trump said, "and he's shooting rockets. I don't like it, not even a little bit." But of course, where was Biden? What was what was he doing? Whispering, hand wringing, hoping the media wouldn't ask too many questions? Because while Putin was escalating, Biden was vanishing. Just like he had done on the border, on inflation, and yes, on Social Security, mind you. And Trump is trying to hold the line against two fronts: foreign chaos and domestic betrayal. But here's where it gets a little bit more bizarre. Because as Trump was talking about the carnage Putin was causing in the Ukraine, a new report hit the wire. Putin was almost hit by a Ukrainian drone attack. Not confirmed by all sources, but insiders say a drone nearly reached his convoy. Could that be what triggered Putin's violent outburst? Is that why he suddenly launched massive strikes while negotiations were happening? Trump hadn't been fully briefed on the report, but he did say this, and I'm going to go ahead and quote him here. He said, "I haven't heard that, but maybe that would be a reason. I don't know." So, and neither do we, guys. But what we do know is that Putin's actions are spinning out of control, and Trump's patience is wearing thin. So, of course, we need to dive a little deeper into how former President Biden had completely failed to contain this threat, how Trump is preparing to reassert leadership, and what he said about possible new sanctions and restoring American strength on the global stage. Guys, if you have not already, take a second, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for joining live. So now we need to talk about what should have happened but didn't. Because while Putin was escalating, Biden was evaporating. Now think about it. Trump is standing in front of reporters, calling out to Putin to his face, saying it's unacceptable, telling the world this is not leadership, this is destruction. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's nowhere to be found. No real statement, no serious warning, no, nothing, right? And folks, the silence, it's costing lives. This is what failure looks like. The Biden administration had no spine, no strategy, no sense of urgency, while America's enemies act with zero fear of consequence. But under Trump, Putin, he typically didn't pull this type of stunt. Why? Because Trump projected strength, not weakness, not confusion. Trump told the world exactly where America stood, and he meant it. So when asked if he would consider new sanctions on Russia, Trump did not dodge the question. He looked the press dead in the eyes and said, absolutely. He's killing a lot of people. I don't know what's wrong with him. Yep. Boom. That's the difference, guys. Biden waits, Trump acts. Biden waffles, Trump brings the hammer. And now with Ukraine turning into a disaster zone and, well, kind of really already has been a disaster zone, NATO is scrambling. NATO is scrambling to hold the line. Trump's already preparing to take bold action. And let me just say this, guys. It's not just about Russia. It's about what the world sees. Now, right now, under Biden, he made the message pretty clear. You know, he said you could basically he didn't actually say this, but his actions said this. Under Biden, he basically said you can bomb civilians, you can threaten peace deals, and America's just going to sit here and issue a strongly worded tweet. Yeah, but under Trump, that's not how this works. Because if Trump has to step back in to clean this up, you can bet Putin, Xi Jinping, Iran, and every global thug watching this mess is going to feel the heat. Now, President Trump, he connects the dots between Biden's global weakness and what's happening here at home. Because while Putin's firing missiles abroad, millions of seniors are still getting shortchanged right here at home. I think the question here is this: how much longer are we going to tolerate this kind of leadership collapse? Now, stick with me because I want to share with you guys this double failure that Biden never wanted you to see. All right. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and lay this out very clearly because this is where the truth gets out. While Biden is firing rockets into Ukrainian cities, while civilians are fleeing for their lives, while the world is staring into the next chapter of global chaos, right here at home, our seniors, our own citizens who built this country, they're still fighting for scraps. You tell me how this is okay? Social Security finally hits $2,000, but only because people are panicking and are filing early. Biden couldn't even deliver a tax relief without hiding behind parliamentary rules. And now we're being told to cheer while global standing implodes and families try to decide between medication or groceries. That's not leadership. This is a two-front betrayal, one abroad and one at home. And Trump sees it. He's calling it out in public. He's naming names. He's doing what Biden refused to do. Hold corrupt actors accountable, foreign and domestic. And this is not just about Russia. It's about what happens when American strength gets replaced by weakness. It's about the collapse of confidence in our borders, our wallets, and our future. The White House wants you to believe everything's under control, but seniors, they don't believe that. The middle class doesn't believe that. Our veterans, our workers, our parents and grandparents, they're watching it unravel in real time. And now the world is watching too. But we need to talk solutions because Trump is not just calling out Biden's failures. He's actually laying out exactly what needs to happen. So here's what Trump pledges to do. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, full American manufacturing comeback, and foreign policy that doesn't bow down but stands tall. So stay locked in with me because I want to get into the future of these tariffs, senior relief, and the warning that Trump just sent to Congress. So where do we go from here, guys? Because let's be honest, folks, we cannot survive. we cannot allow things to continue how they've been going. The system is cracking. Social Security is hanging on by a thread. Putin has gone rogue. Biden, he made a mess, but Trump has a plan, and it's not complicated. Actually, it's America first, fully restored. Let's break it down. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security once the Senate games are over. We'll add that little caveat there. 50% tariffs on countries who cheat our trade system. Manufacturing brought home from China, from Vietnam, from Europe. Peace through strength, not war through weakness. And here's the thing. This is not fantasy. Trump's already negotiating. He's already building support. And whether it's tariffs on the EU, forcing Apple to build iPhones in America, or demanding full control over steel production in the United States, he's making moves. But he didn't stop there. During the same Q&A, Trump issued a warning that Congress, the media, and the global elite better listen to. Biden didn't act, but he will. Simple as that. Trump is done waiting. Whether it's stopping China, checking Iran, standing up to Putin, or fighting for seniors who built this nation, he's bringing the pressure. And if Congress doesn't want to get on board, he'll bring the voters. He'll bring the tariffs. He'll bring the accountability. Because here's what Trump understands and what Biden never did. You cannot build a strong nation abroad if your people are falling apart at home. Social Security isn't just a number, it's a moral contract. And Putin isn't just launching rockets, he's testing our resolve. Trump sees both threats for what they are, and he's ready to respond with strength, clarity, and results. So the real question is not what will Trump do? The real question is, will anyone in Washington, D.C. grow the balls, grow the spine to follow his lead? Well, that's all I got for you guys today. If you're fired up like I am, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still believes America can be saved. And let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Do you support President Trump's plan to eliminate Social Security taxes, punish Putin, and bring jobs back to the United States? I'm going to be reading through all your comments. And trust me, guys, we are just getting started. Till next time, we'll see you next time.